I was talking to a friend of mine recently about how it's really fascinating when you look at how a child can have the same bedtime story read to them over and over and over again. And there's this sort of comfort and security that comes through because they know how the story ends. Even when the twists and turns in the story come, they don't really rock the child's peace because they already know that the outcome is good. They already know how the story ends. And I think sometimes for us, we lose sight of the fact that when we read the lives of the saints, the stories of their lives, which ought to be a great comfort and consolation for us, that when they were in the midst of that story for themselves, during the twists and turns, they did not have the security of knowing how the story of their life was going to end. That they must have felt maybe often, or maybe not so often, kind of terrified or really just wondering what God is doing or what God is up to. But we know the great news that they made it to heaven, that they're in the communion of the saints, that they're enjoying the beatific vision of God for all eternity. We know in looking in the past now how their stories end. But for they themselves, they didn't have that comfort and security. And I think that's a great word of encouragement for us. In all those times when we feel, where is God, or what is God doing in my life, or how the circumstances or events going on in my life just seem so overwhelming and beyond my capacity, beyond my strength, how is God working there? And I think for us to take a step back and to realize that the saints felt that way too, that they too did not have the comfort and security of knowing how the story of their life was going to end. So that experience that we feel so oftentimes is something that the saints themselves must have felt many, many times. So I think that word of encouragement for us, that when we get caught up in the twists and turns of life, when circumstances seem beyond our control, or we have no idea how God's going to be able to bring it all together, we look to the lives of the saints and we see that God did the same thing in their lives. So be saints.